TGIF, my lovely followers. It's your queen, Tara. We are back. Happy Friday. I hope everybody is looking forward to an awesome weekend. I know I am. TGIF. We are back, as I told you yesterday. We are back with another awesome video, a Friday special. And I know today we're going to discuss B.R.I.C.S and China and the decline of the US dollar. Because B.R.I.C.S ties into all that. The demise of the dollar. I've said this on my Instagram channel. I don't know if my lovely followers from YouTube also follow me there. But I've talked about how if we manage to dethrone the dollar as the world reserve currency, then we'll topple the empire. Because that is what the empire is built on. That is what the American empire, that is how the Pax Americana was able to be achieved, was specifically because of the US dollar and the fact that it was the global reserve currency. It was the currency by which most nations traded for oil. Now that is rapidly changing. A number of alternatives are getting popular, particularly the yuan, the Chinese currency, which, let's just face it, it's eventually going to surpass the dollar, okay guys? Let's just be real. The dollar is collapsing, and that is a good thing because that is what upholds this entire oppressive system that keeps us down. If we lose the dollar, well then we lose the empire. That's how we topple the empire, because we need to ditch the dollar. Because the dollar is the thing that holds up this entire oppressive system. I know I said this video was about China, but I swear this ties into it. This is part of why B.R.I.C.S is anyone who wants to get this yoke off your back of the federal government, of this dying corporate empire that hates you, anyone who wants to get that yoke off their back, needs to support B.R.I.C.S. Because they are overcoming the United States economically. They are winning. And once China finally manages to retake Taiwan, which is honestly rightfully theirs, in the first place, it should be theirs. It's this renegade province that should have been incorporated into the rest of China a long time ago. Taiwan is essentially a puppet state of the United States. It's a proxy state, controlled and funded by the military-industrial complex as a way to harm China. Even though the people there are ethnically Chinese, and many of them actually support reunification with the Chinese mainland, the CIA, the military-industrial complex, they want to pretty much hold Taiwan hostage and turn the Chinese people against one another for the sake of the military-industrial complex, so that the billionaire class and the oligarchs can maintain their dwindling empire, because they're losing and they see the writing on the wall. They're overexpanded. They lost the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. They're losing support at home. National morale is at an all-time low. Like, talk to any young people, and you'll instantly realize that, like, this empire is not going to last. We don't have the pride anymore. We're not going to be a bunch of flag-waving morons like the boomers who are going to go to the trenches and get turned into a hamburger so a bunch of rich oligarchs can have better lives. Like, no. Like, most of us are on China's side because America is the evil empire. When Ronald Reagan talked about the Soviet Union, he was projecting because America is the evil empire. America is the reason why we don't have peace in the world. Like, our out-of-control government that robs us of half our income every year in taxes so they can send it to foreign countries and launder it and make their billionaire friends in Wall Street rich. And the Zionist lobby, the hook-nosed mafia, all the various factions that control our government and use their billions to bribe the puppet politicians into doing what they say. They're scared of China because China's a rival. And because, frankly, China's tactics are better than ours. They have what is called the Belt and Road Initiative, where they offer to aid other countries instead of bomb them. They offer to help them instead of destroy them, and build them up instead of break them down. They have tremendously helped many nations in Africa. They have built valuable ports and infrastructure in these third world countries and persuaded them to side with China. You know, because it's like the old adage, like, you get more flies with honey than you do with vinegar. And China has realized that. And their Belt and Road Initiative is why most of the third world, including some countries in Central and South America, side with China. I mean, heck, Brazil, one of the biggest supporters of BRICS. They're literally the first letter in it. Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa is like one of the biggest supporters of BRICS. China is going to be the future. They just are. And they're building a different type of empire than America. They're building an empire of aid. They're building a peaceful trade empire. They're not building a conquest empire like America, where they're going to go attack Vietnam, attack Korea, attack any country that happens to disagree with them economically. Nope, they're just providing aid. You know, they build these ports and they get to own them for a while and they make money off of it. And everybody prospers because it brings valuable jobs to the countries in which they help. It aids their economy. It gives them a nice new big port where they can import and export. And it helps lift them out of poverty. It helps to build these third world countries up to eventually become better with higher standards. And that's why that's why China is defeating America. Because they're just better. They play the game better than we do. Like, their politicians are not complete scumbags like ours. So yeah, BRICS is a union of countries. It's an alliance of countries: Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. That's what the name stands for. B.R.I.C.S. BRICS. Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. Now, there's many more countries within that alliance than those 5. Yeah, 5. There's many more countries within that alliance. There's many African nations that support them. There's many Central American nations that support them. It's a growing alliance. It's a powerful alliance. And it's an alliance that's, like, one day going to be better than the U.S. Like, it's an alternative. It is an alternative to the world bully and their dollar. And the financial warfare, aka the sanctions, that America loves to use to bully everybody else into doing what they want. And they've kind of painted themselves into a corner because now people have the petro yuan And they don't need the dollar, you know? They don't need economic bullying from America. They can do trade with China and have a better, prosperous future. And the world is quickly waking up to that. B.R.I.C.S is going to dominate. And I support it. And you should too. If you have an interest in genuine freedom, in getting rid of this oppressive federal government, in balkanization and peaceful national divorce, where we have local autonomy within our own regions and genuine political freedom, then you should support B.R.I.C.S. Because this oppressive empire in Washington is a threat to our collective freedom. It is. We cannot be truly free while we are under the thumb of the billionaire class, the oligarchs, the Zionist lobby, and their puppet politicians. And more people are waking up. That's why I have so much hope, my lovely followers. I have so much hope for the future. China is just that they're becoming stronger than the U.S., you know. They already have a bigger navy than us. They already surpassed us, at least in terms of their navy. I don't know about on land, but in terms of their navy, they've already surpassed us. And eventually Taiwan will be back in China where it rightfully belongs. China will take back what's rightfully theirs, whether through invading it or just through peaceful reunification. Because there are people within Taiwan who do want to rejoin China. It's just that the CIA and the U.S. military-industrial complex won't let them. Yep. I'm really glad we had this talk today. Like, I was looking forward to it. You know, I'd like to give you guys something special on Friday, you know? And the topic, like, it was between my books, which I think we might discuss next Friday. Don't hold me to that, but maybe. Anyway, I'm trying to think of what else I needed to talk about with China, because I feel like I covered all the major points. I feel like I covered financially, how the dollar is collapsing, and there's going to be something to replace it because America has painted themselves into a corner. The world is tired of their sanctions. The world is tired of being economically bullied by Washington, especially the third world countries, especially the Central American countries. That they've had enough. You know, they want a currency that doesn't come with strings attached, with control. I feel like China is definitely the leading nation in B.R.I.C.S. You know, at least like militarily. They are the major superpower. Not that they're the only superpower, because there's other noteworthy countries like Russia and India that are also significantly powerful. But I do feel like China is probably the most powerful nation in that alliance, easily. I guess we could talk about Russia. My opinions on Russia will likely be controversial, just like all my other opinions. But I do support them. Well, not really. Like, I support them from a distance. I'm not advocating that we should intervene on their behalf or anything. Like, when I say I support them, I support their right to take Ukraine, you know? I'm not saying we should send military aid or anything, because I'm definitely non-interventionist, isolationist. But, like, let's be honest, like, NATO pretty much forced Russia into this war. And I know many of you might think that they are the aggressors because of what the Western media has told you, but that's just not true. It's like Ukraine is the aggressors. Like, you need to... I think I have a Ukraine playlist that you can look at. That's really interesting. Because the CIA, of course, were involved in Ukraine. They ousted the leader of Ukraine in a coup and replaced him with Zelensky, a man with ties to the Azov Nazis, the Azov Battalion neo-Nazis. Sorry, frog in my throat. Because the reason why I side with Russia as opposed to Ukraine is because when the Berlin Wall fell, there was an agreement. Like, if you look into it, the Gorbachev and whoever the Americans were, I don't remember the guy's name, but they had an agreement that NATO would not expand past a certain point if the Soviet Union collapsed. If they agreed to, like, break up, then there would be a number of Eastern European countries that would be a buffer zone between Russia and NATO. That's what they agreed to. And NATO has violated that agreement consistently. NATO is the aggressor. You know, they have consistently violated that agreement since the end of the Cold War. And NATO is the aggressor. NATO broke their agreement. And I don't care what the media tells you. NATO is the aggressor. Putin is right. He has every right to do what he's doing. Like, Ukraine needs to just agree to his terms and not join NATO. That's what was agreed to. That's what these countries agreed to at the end of the Cold War, when they agreed not to expand NATO one more inch. And they have consistently broken that agreement since that time. That's why if I have to choose, I choose Russia over Ukraine. It's like, first of all, from an isolationist perspective, we should not be in Ukraine, period. We should not be involved in this foreign war, period, because it's none of our business. So there's that. But, if I have to choose one, then I'm obviously going to choose Russia, because NATO is the aggressor. NATO is the aggressor. So, yeah. Anyway, I know this video was supposed to mainly be about China, but I just felt like Russia is part of B.R.I.C.S. So I needed to do a bit of talking about them too. Honestly, Russia probably needs its own dedicated video, because it's a really deep topic. The Russia-Ukraine conflict. I have a playlist about that with some good videos on it that explain it better. I would encourage my lovely followers to check those out for more in-depth information. Good grief. It's already been 19 minutes. Can you believe it? Can you believe it's already been 19 minutes? Crazy. I think I will try to bring this video to a close within the next 3 or 4 minutes though. Because China, let's return to the topic of China. China is the future. China and B.R.I.C.S is the future. America is collapsing. America is losing support abroad and at home. The dollar is weakening. as a currency. It's losing its value rapidly. Inflation is out of control. I don't care what the talking heads in the media say. I don't care what the bootlicking Republicans say. The dollar is rapidly losing its value. And most people with functioning brains understand this. Like, just go to the grocery store, see how expensive everything is. That's how you know we're losing. We're winning. When I say we, I mean the people, not the billionaires, not the oligarchs. The normal people who just want to live their lives and not be oppressed by this empire that takes away half your income for the oligarch class and divides us by pitting us against one another for these stupid parties and with all this stupid culture war nonsense where they want you to hate each other because of you're Republican or Democrat or trans or cis. Because if we ever all came together, if there was ever like a powerful alliance of people from both sides who genuinely came together within their own regions and were determined to be free, to peacefully separate from this empire, to have a peaceful national divorce, well then they wouldn't last long. It's like the empire would collapse overnight. Just like Rome. Because it is in decline. We have been in decline for a long time. And I think the moment where it became apparent for me that the U.S. empire truly was collapsing was the botched withdrawal from Afghanistan and the Abbey Gate incident. Like, let's be real, the Taliban sent us home with our tails between our legs. They kicked our butts. They won. The empire was humiliated. I remember watching it live. I remember watching as the helicopters lifted off from that last base. I don't remember what it was called. Maybe Bagram. I could be wrong. I think it was Bagram, but I could be wrong about that, so don't hold me to that. I could be wrong, but I believe it was Bagram that we evacuated, and then they took it over. America so sent home with their tail between their legs in humiliation, and the Taliban won. And that's the moment I think I realized the empire really is not going to last much longer. Every empire has this. Every empire has about a 250-year shelf life, you know? If you look into the history of empires, I think there is a specific book, I don't remember the name. I think the book was called Rise and Fall of Empire or something along those lines. That may not be the exact name, but it was a book about the fall of empires and how they have a 250-year shelf life. And ours is rapidly approaching that. So yeah. The Pax Americana is officially coming to an end. And it's not going to be long before China is the dominant nation in the world. It won't be long at all. As a matter of fact, some of us, myself included, consider China already the dominant nation in the world. Because America is a crap hole. America is a crap hole run by the oligarchs. You know, it's one of the least happy nations in the world. It has the highest incarceration rate in the world. It has the highest income inequality. And it's just circling the drain. And China is becoming steadily more powerful. The dollar is weakening and the petro yuan is gaining value. So yeah. I know this rant got pretty long-winded. I just love talking about this topic, you know. I love BRICS. I'm a really avid BRICS supporter. I'm a really avid supporter of China and BRICS. But I think my voice is honestly getting tired. You can probably tell. because I've been talking for almost 30 straight minutes. I think I covered a lot of good stuff with China. Probably not everything. Like, I'm sure, like, there's super in-depth stuff you could look into. There's some pro-China YouTubers. I wish I could remember their names. Like, I have so many people that I follow. I have an insane amount of YouTube subscriptions, and honestly, I have trouble remembering them all. But I believe I have some of their videos in my playlist. I believe I have one of these people's videos in my B.R.I.C.S playlist. So you should definitely check that out and subscribe to his channel. Or some other pro-China channel. Because this empire is falling, and it's time we admit that. It's time we admit that and embrace that. Because it doesn't have to be a bad thing. It doesn't have to be the end. Like, we can have freedom again. We can have, like, actual isolationism and local freedom again. Because this federal oppressive empire is collapsing. And pretty soon America is not going to be the #1 superpower. China is. And I've explained why. I've explained the Belt and Road Initiative. I've explained why China is going to outpace the United States. And how in some areas they already have. And I think I'm going to have to bring it to a close. So thank you for your support of this video. Thank you. Please like and subscribe. I hope you found this video informative and entertaining. Thank you for your support, especially if you watched to the end. And we're off.